The Big Rock strategy is one of the easiest, most intuitive ways to manage your time like a top performer. And it starts with a story about a professor and the jar of life. A wise professor walks into a classroom and places a large, empty glass jar on the table. Without saying a word, he begins filling the jar with big rocks all the way to the top. Then he looks up and asks the class, "Is the jar full?" The students nod. They say yes, confident. The professor smiles. He reaches for a handful of smaller pebbles and pours them in. He gives the jar a gentle shake. The pebbles slide into the gaps between the rocks. Then he asks again, "Is it full now?" This time, the class isn't so sure, but most still say yes. He smiles again and pours in sand. The grains trickle down, filling even the tiniest spaces. "How about now?" he asks. "Is the jar full?" A few students laugh. One says he's not sure anymore. The professor isn't done yet. He picks up a glass of water and pours it in. The water seeps through every crack, rising all the way to the brim. "Now it's full," he says. Then he turns to the class. "What's the point of this experiment?" he asks. One student raises a hand and says, "No matter how full your schedule is, you can always fit more in." The professor shakes his head. "No," he says, pointing to the jar. "That's not the point. The point is, if you fill the jar with pebbles and sand first, you won't have space for the big rocks. But when you put the big rocks in first, everything else finds space around them. It's the same with your time. The jar represents your life. The big rocks are the things that matter most, the stuff you'll look back on years from now and be glad you made time for. These will be different for everyone, but they might include your health, time with family, or exploring the world. The pebbles are still important, but not as essential as the big rocks. Things like advancing in your job, working on a passion project, or doing a hobby you enjoy. The sand is all the little things that fill your day, things that are fine, but not vital. Vacuuming, doing the dishes, hanging out just to kill time. And the water? That's pure distraction. Doom scrolling, mindless TV, stuff that feels like nothing, but takes up space anyway. The lesson is simple, but it sticks with you. Order matters. Always start with the rocks, because if you don't make room for the big stuff first, the little stuff will take over your whole jar. Picture this. One of your big rocks is spending time with your family, but you're always working late. Your weekends are packed, you're at the dinner table, but your mind's still on emails. What happened? You filled the jar with pebbles first. Now imagine something else. You've got a passion project, something that lights you up, but every time you sit down to work on it, you start scrolling. Reels, tweets, TikToks. Suddenly, an hour's gone. Again, that's what it looks like when you pour in the sand and even the water, before the rocks and pebbles. Here's the truth. Your jar isn't infinite, neither is your time. The Big Rock strategy forces you to ask the tough questions. What actually matters to me? And more importantly, am I making space for it? And this isn't just a life thing. You can use the same strategy at work too. In that case, your jar might be this week, or just today. The big rocks are the meaningful, non-urgent tasks, the ones that move the needle. Writing that report, launching that new feature, finishing a deep focus project that actually matters. If you ended the day having done just those things, you'd feel proud. The pebbles are still important, but smaller. Replying to a client, giving feedback, finishing routine tasks. They're easier to schedule, but also easier to push around when more pebbles show up. And the sand? That's the urgent but not important stuff. Tiny tasks that scream for your attention. Emails, printer jams, meetings about meetings. They fill the day fast, and they give you the illusion of progress. Because sand is tricky. It feels productive. It gives you quick wins, but it doesn't build anything that lasts. And here's the thing. You'll never fit it all in. There's always more pebbles and sand. That's why the order matters. If you want your day to feel full, in the right way, start with the big rocks. Block real time for them. Not 30 minutes between Zoom calls, not when you're running on fumes. Protect that space like it matters, because it does. This way, even if nothing else makes it into the jar, you can still call it full.